Hi, I'm Devin Lockett, and this is a video about my transformations. When I say transformations, I don't mean transitions. Transitions are things that happen to people, like you may make a transition into move to another place or another location or another state. Transformations happen internally. And I've had several transformations in my life. I'd like to go through them because I discovered a very profound transformation very recently. When I was a kid, I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. I had a typical all-American life, I was lucky enough to have my mom at home as a stay-at-home mom, and my dad was a very good provider for our family. We were Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts, my brothers and I, and altar boys. We did all of the typical American things. I enlisted in the United States Air Force at 17, and I actually went into the Air Force at 18, right after my 18th birthday. This was very good. This was my first major transformation, I guess you could say, from being a civilian kid to being a military man. And of course, the adjustment to military life is not easy. It never is. But it's definitely worth it, and it's definitely something that builds character. It's definitely something that I think all Americans should go through at one point of their life or another. I think it's a very good experience. During my military experience, I studied Russian. My first job, I was a Russian linguist, and then I became a biomedical engineer. I studied biomedical equipment maintenance at the School of Healthcare Sciences. I had an overseas assignment at Torrejón Air Base in Madrid, Spain. I loved being in Spain. Spain was a very good experience for me. I had a lot of fun. I was very young. I came of age as a sexual being in Spain. I did a lot of partying. I went out to the discotecas in Madrid, and some of those discos, actually all of the discos in Madrid, are open pretty much all night. So it's a very good experience if you're young to be in Europe, especially in Spain, especially during the period of time in the 1980s when I was there. I also had an opportunity to study at the University of Madrid, more specifically at Bellas Artes del San Fernando, which is an art school in Madrid, the same art school that Pablo Picasso studied at and that his father was a teacher at. My experience at Bellas Artes really expanded my horizons, so to speak, beyond that of the average GI. I had access to an entirely different world. And I also grew as an artist. This was a very, very important time in my life, a very good formative time in my life. While I was in Spain, I became a father for the first time. That's when my oldest son was born. This experience was at once exciting and terrifying, as most people would admit after having their first child. That was my first major transition, and I am very happy to have undergone it. When I returned from Spain, I came here to Los Angeles. That is what I call my first life in LA. During this time, I got into everything. I got into acting. I started acting with the Hittite Empire under the tutelage of artistic director Keith Antar Mason. The Hittite Empire is an all-black, African-American, indigenous, intergenerational, male, politically correct, socially responsible cultural elite. With the Hittite Empire, I did theater as well as performance art. We performed across the United States as well as overseas in London. I also started doing extra work. I believe being an extra is something that everyone must go through in order to become an actor if you want to pursue Hollywood. And I attended the University of Sound Arts, which was at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, where I studied music, recording, engineering, as well as film. Participated in quite a few music videos as the artistic director, cinematographer, and really had a blast. In April of 1992, actually it was specifically April 29th, 1992, the LA riots happened as a response to, it was a political insurrection in response to the verdict of not guilty for the officers that had beaten Rodney King to a pulp unjustly. The city burned, and the city was, quite frankly, destroyed. After that period, I left LA and I moved to Texas, to Dallas, Texas specifically, where I embarked upon another entrepreneurial adventure. We're going to talk more about that episode in my life in future videos. After leaving Dallas, I went to Hawaii, where I lived for a while. Hawaii was yet another transformation in my life. Hawaii is beautiful, and I will always consider Hawaii my home. But Hawaii is the kind of place that, frankly, you have to have money to really enjoy it. You have to be financially secure before you go to Hawaii, because opportunities are kind of limited on an island. When I got back from Hawaii, I went back to Dallas briefly, and then I ended up in Miami, Florida, where I started the company BiomedRx, this company that I still have. I began teaching biomedical engineering in English and in Spanish in 32 countries throughout the Caribbean and Latin America. This was another significant transformation for me in my life. I became a father again with the birth of my daughter. I also gained an understanding of the spirituality of West Africa through embracing Yoruba Orisha culture. After leaving Miami in a very roundabout way, I returned to Los Angeles. Thus began my second life here in Los Angeles. I studied art at the Otis Institute of Parsons School of Design. Otis is no longer associated with Parsons, but it's still a fine art school here in Los Angeles. And I also started doing a lot of extra work, a lot of film work. I was in the Fast and the Furious 4, and I became a father again for the third time with my youngest son. I studied film at Los Angeles City College and Cal State University, Los Angeles. My son's mother was a fashion designer, and we did a lot of videos of fashion events in Los Angeles and around Los Angeles on the beach. And you can see a lot of those videos here on my channel. I also did a lot of narrative work, or what we would call movies or film work, standard film work. When my son was 2 years old, he was diagnosed with autism. And this was a terrible blow for his mother and as well as for myself. I changed the course of my life to help my son, and it led to me opening the BiomedRx Health Center, which is where I am right now. Here at the BiomedRx Health Center, we do neurofeedback therapy, cranial electrotherapy stimulation, and biomagnetic hair therapy. With the therapies that I do here at the BiomedRx Health Center, I was actually able to reverse my son's autism. This is the mark of another very profound transformation in my life. So while I would love to give the people what they want or give my audience what they expect, and I still do love working with models, of course, I always will. My life has a lot more meaning now and a greater sense of purpose. So you're going to see me on this channel exploring a lot of the deeper things that mean something to me. My audience may change. You may or may not like this channel. It will be interesting, but it may not be interesting to you. Raising my son has proven to be the most rewarding experience of my life. And it's something that I really want to share with everyone in my audience. I'm returning to my basic self as an artist. And this is at once something new and something that I've always had inside. I am a painter. You're going to be seeing a lot of that on this channel, as well as an auteur. You're going to be seeing my film work on this channel. But I'm also a father, and I intend to show you a lot of the important aspects about being a father, the things that are important to me. Now, I have different values, and of course that means I have different priorities. I'm more contemplative than visceral, more likely to indulge in a philosophical approach than a visual approach in my work. Social and political issues are also much more important to me than they ever were. My most recent transformation has been so subtle and gradual that I think it happened without my even recognizing it. What you're seeing now is a culmination of all of my experiences, internal as well as external, natural as well as supernatural. I'm still the globetrotter. I still love to travel. I am still an aficionado of fine sports cars and motorcycles. That doesn't change. I'm still the artist that I always was, and I want to share that with you on this channel. Thank you.